India formally joined the Pax Silica Coalition at the India AI Impact Summit 2026. It marks a significant milestone in strengthening of strategic technology and supply chain cooperation between India and the United States. To talk more on this, I've been joined by Mr. N.M. Anup Krishnan. He is Associate Professor at IIT Delhi. Sir, a very warm welcome to DD India News Hour. On the technology front, when you're talking about strengthening supply chains for critical minerals and artificial intelligence, reducing dependency, how significant is Pax Silica?
So one of the major challenges when we want to advance in AI and developing large language models, etc., the key challenge is compute infrastructure. So the compute infrastructure, primarily when we talk about it, it's the GPUs that's powering. For example, NVIDIA has this GPUs that's powering this. This is the massive workhorse that's actually powering all the large language models, training and also inference, right? So and development of this silicon chips basically relies on the availability of rare earth minerals, etc. And this supply chain, and especially the concentration of these minerals in local regions, can cause supply chain bottlenecks. For instance, if it's the rare earths is primarily concentrated in one country, then the accessibility of other countries can actually create a challenge. And starting from these raw minerals, it can have a sweeping impact across the entire silicon supply chain. And that's where this entire Pax Silica comes into picture. And this is now joined by more than 70 countries. And this being India participating in this can have a severe, a lot of strategic benefits for the country.
When you're talking about the strategic benefits for the country, could you elaborate a bit on that?
So the key challenge here is basically the global flow of the critical minerals, right? Say, for example, rare earth semiconductor fabrication. So if you think of India, there have been a lot of effort in semiconductor manufacturing that the government has been pushing in the recent years. So if you think of AI, I mean, we should not just think of large language models. AI has to be thought holistically. Now, what are the components of this? One of the key component is semiconductor manufacturing. The other component is rare earth minerals and critical rare earth minerals. The third component is the energy. For example, clean water and energy. If you want to have this semiconductor infrastructure built, this is a key requirement. And which is the reason why, for instance, there's a lot of emphasis on green compute, carbon with reduced carbon footprint, etc. While thinking of this AI infrastructure. But beyond this, then we have this data centers that will be housing and then cooling systems of this data center. That's another extensive energy consuming part of it. And then finally comes the AI model. So when we think of AI infrastructure, we should start all the way from critical minerals, semiconductor manufacturing to data centers and finally AI models. And this is the idea of Pax Silica, that you think of it essentially from an end-to-end perspective and make sure that this is accessible for, entire supply chain is accessible for advanced computing.
Okay. What are your thoughts as far as reducing dependency on other countries are concerned? I mean, I'm not talking about the countries who are there in the Pax Silica.
Right. So, I think I would try to think of it from a different perspective. For example, what is the value that India gets and what is the value that India brings in, right? First value that India brings in is the massive engineering talent that we have, which we have a very, enthusiastic youth population.
And of course, a market as well, a big market.
Absolutely. But beyond that, from a raw material perspective, we have something like, more than 8 million tons of rare earth reserves in the country, which needs to be used. So, for example, if you look at funding agencies such as Anusandhan National Research Foundation and even Niti Aayog, they have identified that, extracting this critical rare earth minerals and making it accessible is going to be one of the key areas that India can benefit from by focusing on it. So these are some of the strategic advantages that we have being in this, and then of course the benefit comes automatically when we are a part of this consortium.
Now, with India joining Pax Silica, what does it tell about the country's long-term vision of strengthening its semiconductor ecosystem, championing artificial intelligence domain as well?
Right. So I think this is very much in line with what we have been seeing. There are multiple moves that are happening at multiple places. For example, India AI Summit, AI Impact Summit clearly sends a message that we are in this and we are in this, for long term.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is just the first of many things to come. We have been pushing the National Semiconductor Mission for quite some time, both from a research perspective and also from a translational industry perspective. We have been pushing the National Quantum Mission, which is looking at quantum computing and quantum machine intelligence and quantum systems. We have been pushing rare earth minerals. So looking at this holistically, we can very clearly see that India is in this with a very, very long-term vision of playing a key role in AI. So we are looking at the raw materials. We are looking at indigenously developing the capabilities to have the semiconductor manufacturing. We are looking at having indigenous models, right? For example, companies like Sarvam is building indigenous models. Bharat Gen is another one that's building indigenous models for tackling problems of India and for India, and thereby contributing to the world. So India is really taking a long-term vision here to be at the forefront of AI. And as a joke, we keep saying that several countries, we missed the bus of this, we missed the bus of that, etc. But India is very clear that we don't want to miss the bus of AI revolution, and we want to be at the forefront.
But actually, we are championing the sector. The fact that we are organizing India AI Impact Summit 2026, and this summit is being organized on such a vast scale that everyone is hailing this summit. Global leaders are hailing this summit, and the visionary leadership, of course, of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, the fact that Pax Silica, with India joining Pax Silica, it also opens doors for the big companies who are willing to invest in the field of semiconductor and artificial intelligence. How do you analyze the economic impact of that?
I mean, with India AI Impact Summit, we can already very clearly see the economic impact. So, for example, if you look at just yesterday and today, we have had a clear investment of secured investments of something close to 250 billion USD. This is infrastructure-linked investments. With Abu Dhabi, G42 and Cerebras, India is planning to really come with a exascale compute system. This is again a new development that's been happening in the country. So, for example, India has Airavat, which is by CDAC, and several other compute systems which are petaflops, few petaflops, 500 petaflops, etc. But India is thinking of exascale computing, which is really at the forefront of AI, even in terms of compute. And if you look at sectorial gains, we can very clearly see that this will bring in sectorial gains in a lot of sectors, including healthcare, agriculture, and of course already there has been clear evidence. For example, there is recent IMF reports which have said that sectors like writing and consulting, software development, customer service, etc. have had a major impact with AI. So if you look at it from a holistic perspective, having this semiconductor manufacturing in India and having such hardware facilities being built in India will actually bring in a lot of job opportunities. So we're talking about losing jobs, but we are also seeing that jobs are not being lost. Basically, they're being displaced from one to the other, right? We are at the same time creating a lot more new job opportunities with such investments.
Right. According to you, how much importance India holds when it comes to Pax Silica coalition, given the fact that it has one of the largest reserves of rare earth elements?
So India holds, I think this is truly I would say great progress as far as we have been looking at it, because, for example, this is also an India-US AI partnership opportunity. So we have been looking at education sector, for instance. We have a lot of youth. They are getting educated, and the number of youth that's getting educated and coming out, graduating, is really increasing in the country. So this is one of the key strengths that we have. This educated youth, they will be able to contribute towards really cutting edge areas. So that's one part of it. But the second part of it is that the reliance on specific countries, right? For example, there are countries like China which is having a lot of rare earth reserves, and these are some of the examples. So we can enable ourselves to be self-reliant and be building this hardware with the research that we have. So I think it's and as a stand India has always taken, which is being a leader of the global south. We have been not speaking just for ourselves, but we have often been always been speaking for the global south, if you think of the stance that we have taken. So I think this is going to be really a key aspect where a broader community just beyond India will benefit from such a participation.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in on DD India News. Thank you once again.